Few more hours. It could have been fatal. Rachel burst into tears. Michael held her tightly, but his eyes drifted to a horrifying realization. The bite, the food, Titan's behavior. What if he hadn't attacked out of rage, but out of instinct? What if the one they doubted had been trying to warn them? Suddenly, the morning's chaos looked like something else entirely, a desperate attempt to save a life. Back home, Michael couldn't shake the feeling that they were missing something. The morning's chaos replayed in his head. The spoon, the bite, the spilled food. None of it added up unless Titan had seen or sensed something they hadn't. Fueled by suspicion, he accessed the home security system. Cameras had been installed in the kitchen months ago, mainly for peace of mind. He scrubbed through the footage from that morning, watching as Sarah moved around the kitchen preparing Emma's breakfast. Then, just minutes before the incident, he saw it. Sarah reached into her purse, pulled out a small unmarked bottle and carefully dripped something into the baby's food bowl. Michael froze, heart pounding. He played it back again. There was no mistake. The moment Sarah stirred the tainted food and approached Emma, Titan shifted, ears pricked, posture alert. Seconds later he lunged, not out of aggression but protection. Michael's hands trembled as he paused the frame. He saw it. He knew. He immediately called Rachel, who was still at the hospital with Emma. Check her toxicology results, he urged. Asked if they found anything synthetic, anything bitter. Rachel returned moments later, voice cracking. They did. Traces of ethylene, glycol, antirese. The kind of substance that could kill a child in minutes. Police were notified. When confronted with the footage, Sarah broke down. She confessed to lacing the food, claiming she hadn't meant to go that far, that she just wanted to scare them into letting her go. But the motive didn't matter. The crime was clear. Was arrested that night. Meanwhile, back home, Michael opened the garage door. Titan stood up, ears forward, tail low. Michael knelt beside him, tears in his. I'm sorry, he whispered. You were trying to tell us. You were the only one who saw the truth. Titan rested his head on Michael's knee. Loyal, forgiving, and finally understood. The next morning, the air in the Thompson home felt different, like a weight had been lifted. Emma was stable, recovering in the pediatric ward, her tiny body resilient. But back at home, the conversation was all about Titan. Rachel returned with tears in her eyes and walked straight into the garage, where Titan lay. He stood as she entered, cautious. She dropped to her knees and wrapped her arms around his thick neck. I'm so sorry, she whispered into his fur. You were trying to save her and we failed you. Titan didn't move. He just leaned into her as if forgiving everything. That afternoon, the Thompsons took Titan to the vet. His jaw was slightly swollen from the bite, but the vet confirmed it. He hadn't clamped down to injure. The pressure of the bite was controlled, measured. Was a warning, the vet said, not an. But Michael looked at Titan with awe. He never lost his training. He knew exactly what he was doing. Word spread. Fast. Family, friends, and even neighbors stopped by with treats, cards, and hugs for Titan. He was no longer just a pet. He was the dog who saved a baby's life, the quiet protector who saw the danger no one else did. At evening, Emma returned home, cradled in Rachel's arms. Titan lay nearby, watching her every move. As they placed her back into her crib, she reached out one tiny hand. Titan moved closer, resting his chin on the edge of the crib. For the first time since that horrible morning, Emma smiled and let out a soft giggle. Rachel and Michael exchanged a glance. They didn't need words. Titan had earned back more than just trust. He'd earned his place as their family's guardian once more. Not with barking or bravado, but with loyalty, instinct, and a bite that saved life. The dog bit the nanny right at the breakfast table. In seconds, chaos erupted. Everyone thought the dog had gone mad until they checked the baby's food. What they found changed everything. This K9 dog hadn't lost control. He had sensed a deadly threat. No one else did. But what the dog did next stunned everyone. It was a peaceful Wednesday morning in the Thompson household. At the table sat baby Emma in her high chair, giggling, while the nanny Sarah scooped spoonfuls of food toward her tiny mouth. Cross the room, Titan, the family's retired K9 German Shepherd, lay alert but calm, his eyes quietly watching everything. Titan had served 3 tours in Afghanistan before retiring to civilian life with the Thompsons. He was loyal, intelligent, and fiercely protective. Well, one questioned his judgment until that morning. In an instant, the serene moment shattered with a low growl and sudden movement from Titan. The dog sprang forward with terrifying speed, knocking over a chair as he lunged toward Sarah. Before anyone could react, his jaws clamped down, not on the baby, not even in full aggression, but right on Sarah's arm as she held the spoon midair. The bowl crashed to the floor, oatmeal splattering across the aisles. Sarah screamed, stumbling back, trying to pull free. Emma began to cry, startled and frightened. From the hallway, Michael, Emma's father, rushed into the room, eyes wide with horror as he saw the chaos unfolding. Titan! No! He yelled instinctively, grabbing the dog's harness. Titan immediately released his grip and backed away, growling softly, his eyes never leaving Sarah. The room froze. Sarah clutched, her arms shaking, tears forming. He bit me out of nowhere, she cried. The mother, Rachel, rushed in, scooping up Emma and shielding her. Titan stood a few feet away now, tail stiff, body tense, not wild but focused, like he knew something wasn't right. But in that moment no one saw a hero. They saw a threat. Air turned cold. Michael's voice broke the silence. Get him out of here. Titan was led away, confused and misunderstood. The house was eerily quiet after the incident. Titan, once the family's protector, now sat isolated in the garage, staring at the closed door with confused, watchful eyes. Inside, Sarah sat at the kitchen table with a cold compress on her arm. The bite hadn't broken the skin, but the emotional wound ran deeper. He just snapped, she said, shakily, her voice trembling. I didn't do anything to him. Rachel stood nearby, rocking Emma gently in her arms. Her expression was tight, clouded with worry and doubt. He's never done anything like that before, she murmured, more to herself than anyone else. Michael paced across the living room, torn between instinct and logic. He's a canine. He's trained to react. But to what? He asked aloud. There was no threat, no noise, just breakfast. Rachel sat down, visibly shaken. Maybe, Sage. He's been more anxious lately. Sarah leaned forward. I really think you should consider rehoming him. What if he'd gone for Emma instead? The words hit hard. Rachel clutched her baby closer. Titan had been like family, but now even she wasn't sure what to believe. Doubt crept into the corners of her heart, replacing the trust she once had in him. Later that day, Titan's food bowl remained untouched. Through the garage window, he could see Emma's high Chair empty and quiet. His ears perked at every sound, but no one came. Inside, Michael began researching behavioral changes in older service dogs. Meanwhile, Rachel scrolled through parenting blogs looking for reassurance. Guilt and confusion weighed heavily on both of them. For the first time, they questioned if keeping Titan was a mistake. No one considered that maybe, just maybe, he had been trying to protect. As the sun began to set, Titan lay down, eyes still fixed on the house, waiting for someone to understand. Evening, just as the house had begun to settle from the morning's chaos, something went terribly wrong. Rachel was the first to notice Emma's change. She was unusually quiet, her head drooping against her mother's chest. "She's warm," Rachel said, touching the baby's forehead. Moments later, Emma began to vomit violently, her tiny body racked with tremors. Panic took over. Michael snatched up the car keys while Rachel wrapped Emma in a blanket. "We're going to the hospital now." As they raced to the emergency room, Sarah sat on the couch watching with wide eyes, whispering, "What's happening to her?" No one answered. No. At the hospital, doctors moved fast. They hooked Emma to monitors and began running tests. Her heartbeat was irregular and her oxygen levels were low. A nurse approached with a grave look. "Has she eaten anything new today?" Rachel blinked. "Just her usual breakfast. Meal banana. Sarah fed her this morning." The nurse exchanged glances with the attending physician. "We're testing for toxins." The word hit Rachel like a punch to the chest. "Toxins? Are you saying?" But the nurse had already moved away. Urgency in every Meanwhile, Michael paced the waiting room, his fist clenched, his mind racing. An hour later, a doctor confirmed their worst fears. Emma had been poisoned. A toxic substance, likely mixed into her food, had made its way into her system. "It's good you brought her in when you did," the doctor said.